Hello everybody, welcome to Introduction to Film. Once again, my name is Mike Murphy. I'm very happy to get this semester going, specifically because I'm always excited when I get a chance to teach this class. And not the least bit because I am a big film fan. I grew up watching movies as one of my main methods of pop culture consumption, and I assume that many of you have registered for this class because you feel the same. Movies may be a primary hobby of yours, or maybe they're just something that you generally enjoy of an evening when you have a little time to kill. Many of you may have your own filmmaking aspirations, or maybe you are just extra interested in how movies are made and the history thereof, and that's basically what this course is about. The goal of this video is to basically cover a lot of the bare bones essential information bullet points for the course. Typically the first day of a class is spent just sort of going over the syllabus and talking about what the course is going to be. We'll just take care of it right here. Hopefully everyone by now has seen the first video that I put up about how to access Brightspace and how to get logged into Teams and Zoom and some of the other things that you'll need just to be able to kind of show up to class every day. So ENGL2860 Intro to Film is a survey course of the history of film, the cultural impact thereof, as well as the aesthetics of film, the technology of film, the commerce of film. Film and movies generally occupy a very centralized role in American culture specifically, but in cultures around the world. So this class is going to be more than just us getting together and watching movies and talking about them generally. It's going to be a deep dive into how we got to this point in history. As a medium, film is quite young. We really haven't had film as we know it today for much longer than 100 years. Some of you may not be familiar with films from an era before sound, before color, before some of the filmmaking techniques that we have today that make movies sort of the spectacle that they have become. Film as an art form occupies very unique spaces in the cultural and artistic landscape. Film is the most collaborative of all artistic mediums in that one person typically doesn't make a film by themselves. The person who produces the film is not the person who writes the film, directs the film, deals with the lighting, not the ones who star in the film, not the ones who score a film or edit a film. Typically, it's not a team of people who create Mona Lisa or Guernica or a single piece of art that you go look at at a museum. That's usually just one person's vision. Film requires a whole host of people. Film also is multi-technological, meaning that you need several different pieces of equipment to make a film. On the other hand, film, like I said, is very central in terms of culture. For example, how often when you're having a conversation with friends do you suddenly start out of context quoting movie lines to each other? How often do you find yourself talking about the kinds of movies you like when you're getting to know somebody, like a new coworker or someone that you're on a first date with? Typically, you talk about things you like, and a lot of times the things that we like are movies. It says something about us, and it says something about the people we know, the kinds of movies that we like. There's also a whole host of techniques and best practices when it comes to making films that are kind of invisible when you're just watching a movie and getting lost in the story, that have been the process of years and decades of refinement and experimentation and technological advancement to bring us to where we are today. And so this course is going to be an exploration of all of that. Yeah, we're going to watch plenty of movies, but we're also going to explore behind the scenes of those movies and behind the scenes of the history of film. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about, and so I'm looking forward to taking this journey with you. As far as coursework, as far as policies, I'll encourage you to follow along with me as we cover the syllabus for this course. You can find it in the content section of Brightspace. There are technically two syllabi for this course. One is the master syllabus, which is essentially just the general guide playbook, if you will, for all the English 2860 courses offered at Pellissippi State. And then you have the class syllabus, which is specific to this class when it is run by me. So go ahead and read through it and follow along with this video if you get a chance. The very first thing that you should see when you open the syllabus is my contact information. You'll see my email address, you'll see my office phone number, which even though I'm not planning on being in the office at all this semester, if you leave me a message there, it'll send that message to my email and I will be able to get back to you. But far and away the easiest way for you to get in touch with me is just to send me an email. And there's my email address. You'll see somewhat below that the textbooks and materials for this course. One is called Looking at Movies. It is the 6th edition by Richard Barsom and Dave Monahan. Your version, like my version, may have come not in a hardcover or softcover, but may just be a collection of loose leaf sheets. This is the textbook. They present it to you this way in order to save you money. Best advice I can give you is to buy the textbook and then take some of that money you saved and buy yourself a 3-ring binder for $2 so that you don't have to keep track of a whole bunch of loose pieces of paper. That's a nightmare. The other textbook that you'll need is the Little Seagull Handbook. This handbook is mostly for your own personal use in terms of a grammar and MLA style guide. If you're in this class, somewhere along the way you should have taken and passed English 1010. And if you did that, you should know how to write a paper. You should know about MLA style. This textbook is there to be your reference guide in order to help you do that. Other things that you'll need access to the Brightspace courseware, obviously. You'll also need access to Microsoft Teams, which is where we will be meeting with each other on Tuesdays of every week in order to have our lecture session and our virtual classroom time. And then on most Thursdays, we are going to use Zoom for our screening purposes. I prefer Zoom for screenings just because I know I can do screenings through Zoom. When we have Thursday screenings, I will post individual Zoom links in Brightspace for you to access our meetings, and I will send those links out through email. So Thursday morning, either check your email or check Brightspace, and you'll be able to join us at our normal time. Typically throughout a week, we will spend Tuesday covering notes and topics, and that'll be more or less our lecture and discussion time. And then on Thursdays will be screenings of particular movies that will correspond with whatever it was that we talked about in our discussion and lecture session on Tuesday. So every Tuesday and Thursday at 10:45, that will be when our virtual sessions begin. If you scroll down a little bit in the syllabus, you should see a weekly breakdown of our discussion and lecture and movie topics. A more specific weekly schedule is available to you beneath the syllabus in Brightspace. So if you want to know more specifically about what you'll need to read in order to be ready for class on Tuesday and what we'll be talking about during that class and what movies we'll be watching on Thursday, check out that schedule. Scrolling on down the syllabus, you should next see a discussion of our coursework. And essentially, your grade in this class is going to be based on a couple of different things. For starters, there will be monthly screening reports. Starting in September, there will be a screening report due at the end of September that I will assign at the beginning of September. The topics of the 3 screening reports will vary from month to month. We'll start out looking at silent film, and so that will be what your screening report will be about. I have a selection of movies up for grabs for these reports for you to watch, and I've been working with the Pellissippi Library to make sure that copies of those movies for you to screen are available through the library website and through the library's repository of movies on Canopy. The second thing is reading quizzes. You will have assigned weekly readings, and those readings will be accompanied by a reading quiz available for you to take in Brightspace under the Quizzes tab. All of the assigned readings that feature just page numbers mentioned in the schedule come from our textbook. So you need to get the textbook. Readings out of the textbook will not begin until week 2, so you do have a little time to wrangle yourself a copy of this. The reading quizzes will typically be 20 to 25 questions. The readings from the textbook are a little bit chopped up. We're not necessarily going to be reading whole chapters at a time. We'll be reading a section from this chapter and a section from this chapter, so all you really need to do is just follow along with the page numbers that are listed for you in the course schedule. When it comes to quizzes, everybody gets 2 chances to take a quiz, and you get to keep whichever version of the quiz you scored highest on. The reading quizzes are not designed to stump you. You can treat the reading quizzes more as reading study guides. You can have the quiz open and go through your readings with the quizzes open and look for the answers as you go. It's totally fine. These quizzes aren't there to penalize you unless you just don't do the readings, in which case, yeah, they're there to penalize you. Hi, Moxie. Say hi, Moxie. Told you you'd probably see lots of my dog this semester, so. For right now, there will be 2 exams. There will be a midterm and a final. Those 2 exams will be comprehensive of the material that was covered during that half semester. So in other words, the final won't be asking you questions on material that was covered in the midterm. And then the last item listed there is just other coursework. And basically that encompasses weekly discussion posts, and mini projects that will appear throughout the semester. Discussion posts will basically be asking you to give your opinion on a question that I will ask. Sometimes they will be germane to specific lecture topics that we will be covering in class, and then the others will basically just be asking your opinions and for you to share your thoughts on a topic with each other in the class. In order to get full credit on a discussion post, you have to publish one original post and then respond to 2 other people in the class. Generally speaking, discussion posts need to be around 250 words, and replies need to be ballpark 100 words. I don't necessarily count words unless it looks like that you're really dogging it. And when it comes to what you write, both in your original post and in your replies, I'm just looking for you to be thoughtful. And then mini projects. So we'll be covering a lot of filmmaking technique as we move along through the semester. We'll talk about things like shot framing and camera angles and lighting techniques and moving camera shots. And in order to sort of help us really wrap our minds around what these techniques are all about, I will have you create some shots for you to share with us and the rest of the class. Most of you, I'm willing to bet, are walking around with one of the best cameras ever made in your pocket. You'll be able to do most of our mini projects just right there on your cell phone, and you can post the results on the discussion board. With regard to all of our assignments, we'll talk more about each specific one as the time comes, but for right now, that's just kind of an overview of the kind of work you should expect of you in the next couple of weeks. Moving on in the syllabus, course policies. When it comes to work, you're going to be submitting all of your work through Brightspace somehow. You can write your discussion posts and take quizzes just right there in Brightspace, and you can write your essays on whatever device you wish and then submit the document to the appropriate Brightspace assignment folder. Scrolling down a little bit, the next policy is about academic dishonesty. Academic dishonesty is a fancy way of saying cheating, and I'll just be blunt about this. The first time I catch you cheating, you'll get a 0 for the assignment. The second time I catch you cheating, you will fail the course outright. The first time I catch you cheating, you'll get a 0 for the assignment. The second time I catch you cheating, you will fail the course outright. It doesn't matter to me what assignment it is. You could have plagiarized a discussion post, plagiarized a major essay. Doesn't really matter. If I catch you, that's it for you. The way it typically goes is when I catch a student who has plagiarized, I will simply say, here's a copy of what you submitted. Here's a copy of a website where it says the exact same thing. Do you have any questions? And if not, that'll be it. I will send the documents that I just presented you to my department dean, and if you wish, you can appeal your grade with her, and frankly, I encourage you to do so. So really, the only way that you can ever get caught cheating in this class in a way that will be punitive to you is if you turn an essay in or post something onto the discussion board with your name on it that you didn't actually write. There's really only a couple of reasons, it seems to me, that students actually cheat that way. On one hand, you have a student who just really isn't into the class. Maybe they weren't interested to begin with. Maybe they're not interested in watching the kind of movies that we're watching in class. Maybe they thought that we'd be watching the Avengers or whatever. There's nothing I can really do for a student who has already decided for themselves that they're not going to enjoy this class or try to get anything out of it. On the other hand, there's the students who generally mean well, but they just have some bad habits, and they wait, and they find themselves in a position where an essay is due Tuesday morning, and here it is Monday night, and it's midnight, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and just in a haze of stress-induced panic, you start thinking to yourself, oh, I just need to get something on the page. I just need to have something turned in. Mr. Murphy won't really read this very carefully. It doesn't really matter. I just got to turn something in. If you find yourself in that position where you were thinking those thoughts to yourself, what I would like for you to do is to just do whatever you can to get it off your mind. Turn off your computer, push yourself away from the table, go for a jog, have a bath, drink a glass of wine, smoke a cigarette, do some yoga, whatever it is that you need to do to get yourself out of that headspace. And then come and talk to me. Say, Mr. Murphy, I'm completely freaking out. I've wasted a lot of time and now I'm lost, and can you help me? Almost always the answer to that question is yes. Please understand that I would like to have the can you help me conversation a couple of days before a deadline is due as opposed to the day that something is due. But if it comes to that or you cheat, I would much rather you come to me and let's have a conversation, because there's all kinds of things that I can do for you just to get the ball rolling on a project. However, once you submit something that has your name on it that I can prove you didn't write, there's nothing I really want to do for you. You've decided to cheat, and that's that. I don't really assume that anybody in this class is a cheater, but there's always one person who doesn't pay attention to me when I say how serious I am about this. Don't be that student. Anyway, moving on. I do mention briefly about the mature content of the movies that we watch, and I don't assume that everyone has the same ability to just take in mature content and process it the same way that I or anyone else does. But just to let you know that some of the things that we see in these films might be a little jarring. You have to bear in mind that movies made in the 1920s and 30s were not made under the same set of guidelines as far as social acceptability. And so you can treat some of these movies that we watch as artifacts at the time and place that they were created. Treat them more like things that you would see in a museum as opposed to things that I want you to see and want you to internalize. In terms of classroom interactions and class conduct, I can make this very simple for you. Just don't be a jerk to me or to each other and you won't have a problem. Generally speaking, when we are in our virtual sessions together, just be cool, feel comfortable, ask questions if you have them, make comments if you want to, but bear in mind that you're in this class with other people. You're not speaking into the void, no matter how it may feel that you are doing so. For the sake of everyone getting along and feeling comfortable, I would ask that if you are in a class session and you don't have something to say or a specific question to ask, that you mute your microphone so that we aren't bothered by background noise in your room. I also ask that you keep your virtual backgrounds to be fairly neutral or innocuous. I would recommend actually that you blur your background if you're just going to be in your bedroom so that we aren't invading your personal space when we do so. Or if you want to make use of the virtual background features to put a picture, just make sure that that picture isn't hostile or offensive to somebody. Going on further, email. Check your Pelicippi email at least once a day, especially on the days that we have class. Most of the time when I have something I want you to have, I will put it in Brightspace with enough time for you to find it before class, but every now and then something occurs to me that I want to give you and I want you to have for class that day, and so you just need to get in the habit of checking your Pelicippi email. And it won't just be me that's trying to get in touch with you. All your other professors and all of the college services that you are going to rely on are going to be using your Pelicippi email to reach out to you, so just get in the habit. The rest of the syllabus is basically college policies. The first one is on unexpected or extended college closure. Feel like we could probably skip that one. Attendance and financial aid. I will be checking attendance. There's not a set number of absences that you could accrue that would result in your automatic failure of this course, but your attendance and your financial aid are inextricably tied to one another. And if I can determine that you have not been attending our virtual sessions and you haven't been logging into Brightspace, then I'm going to report that. And then having reported it, you'll have all kinds of hoops to jump through in order to get your financial aid on track, in order to register for future semesters, so just be in the habit of making it to class. Accommodations for students with disabilities. If you have a disability accommodation plan on file, you should have gotten that from Disability Services, and you should be sending that to me sometime as soon as possible. And then last but not least, a little bit about emotional well-being and support, because we are living in inherently stressful times right now, and adding college to all that is just adding to the stress. And even though Pelicippi has its own counselors ready to help you if you reach out to them, every now and then you may find yourself needing a little bit of help and needing to reach out to somebody outside of Pelicippi regular business hours, and so the college likes to provide students with a handful of numbers for you to reach out, just in case you need it. If there's ever anything I can do to help put you in contact with people at the college or people beyond the college, please let me know. I will do what I can to put you in touch with the people who you need to be in touch with. And so basically that's it. Now that we have the policy and procedure stuff out of the way, we now no longer have to spend any time on it during our first virtual session on August 25th. And so when we see each other that morning, we'll just jump right into the coursework. I will have notes available for you in Brightspace for you to peruse. Now that we've covered the syllabus, I would like to point your attention to the syllabus quiz. It'll be a quick 15-question quiz covering the content of the syllabus, which we just did, so great. This will be more about just orienting you with the quizzes feature as opposed to actually testing your knowledge about what's in the syllabus. If you have any trouble accessing the quiz or getting it to work properly, please just let me know. I can walk everybody through it in class if need be on Tuesday as well. Guys, I really can't wait. I'm looking forward to teaching this class. I feel like it will go very well for us even in this sort of extraordinary circumstance and under these conditions. I will say that it will require a lot of you. It will require for you to be organized and to make sure that you get your work done in a timely fashion and to be committed to showing up and attending and really trying to get the most out of our virtual sessions. And hopefully by the time it's all said and done, this will enrich your experience and your understanding of movies. And that when you go to the theater, if we ever go back to movie theaters, this class will have enriched your movie-going experiences as a fan and as a consumer of movies. You can not only allow yourself to just get lost in the story and enjoy the experience of seeing a film, that you can also understand a little bit more about how that movie is made and about the techniques that are influencing your perception of that movie as you watch it. And you'll have a larger appreciation for movies that have existed out of your perspective up until this point. That's it for now. I look forward to seeing everyone's faces or avatars or whatever it is on the screen on Tuesday morning at 10:45. I'll see you then. Always feel free to reach out to me if you ever have a question. See you at the movies. Please don't sue me, Roger Ebert.